do a go live. I ain't went live in a while, so thought this be a good video to do it for. I want to talk about this, man. This one was crazy, man. I saw the news story. The officer, I don't know if y'all remember, it was probably about a few years ago. It's been a while. It was a story. The guy was trying to help a mental patient. He was playing in the middle of the street. They believe he was suicidal or whatnot. It was identified that he had a toy. He had a toy truck in his hand. I guess somebody initially thought he had a gun, but then it was identified by a passerby who alerted the officers and told them that was the situation. The victim told them. Also, one of the officers that put in the call and said that's what it was. But the guy who was trying to help the mental patient who had escaped the facility, who was the caretaker, a black man by the name of Charles Kinsey, he was there trying to, calm the situation, get everything order, and get his patient back to where he needed to be at. And he subsequently was shot. He was shot in the leg by the police. The officer that did it, his name was Johnathan Aledda. And it was a crazy, crazy fucking video. I don't know why it didn't get, seemed like it didn't get a lot of, it got very, very minimal coverage, right? Very, very minimal coverage. But yeah, the whole process, everything, the way, after he asked him, he shot him. The guy, Kinsey, the caretaker, asked him, well, why did you shoot me? And the officer just looks at him and says, I don't know. That officer was convicted, but didn't have to serve any jail time. Didn't have to serve any jail time. Was charged with negligence, but, everything else, the attempted manslaughter or whatever other charges, I could be wrong. I don't have all the stuff in front of me, but he was acquitted on all of that. So he didn't have to serve any jail time. He only ended up doing like 5 months probation. He was fired from the police, from the department, but that's a crazy story, man. Crazy story. And it brings up the conversation of, police getting the chances, getting the opportunity to make mistakes on the job and the consequences behind it. I know shit happens, especially in situations like that, but you can't, when you're in a position that they have, the position of responsibility, there's got to be stiff punishment for grave mistakes like that. I mean, take the Kim Potter situation, and I'll do a video on that. But with Dante Wright, for her to only get 2 years, I mean, she's getting some jail time, but to get only 2 years for something like that, I don't know. I'm not as, I don't speak as, there's gray areas. There's gray areas to everything. There's gray areas to everything. A lot of people, they may be on one side, they, like I said, they think mistakes may happen. You got the other side, think it was a racist incident and things like that. I don't know what, every officer is thinking, but there has to be a specific punishment for making these mistakes. And it's got to be understood from the start, because otherwise you'll allow shit like that to take place to begin with. You never know what they can hide behind. I give any type of explanation, but it could very well be the reason because of the person's skin color or whatever, or anything. Motherfucker had a bad day, didn't get any pussy the night before, something, right? So they can hide behind these things. So there has to be punishment. Can't be just be these little slaps on the wrist, especially when somebody dies from it, because that's something you can't, you can't redo, man. Can't redo. Now, in the case of Dante Wright, yeah, he was up to no good. He was up to no good, but still the police have a they have a way, they have protocols that they have to follow. And they can't go outside of that, and people can't be making excuses for that, because that's how you allow injustice to be able to surface and to be able to, spread around without being checked. So I'm taking a look at this video because I saw the news and it says now the officer's conviction was overturned. So, and I don't even know if that really even matters anyway, because like I said, he didn't have to do jail time. But let's take a look. I'm seeing this for the first time, as you guys will too. So let's take a look at it.
Now at 5, a new trial ordered for a former officer.
He was deprived of a fair trial.
Years after a shooting incident involving a man with autism and his therapist. Tonight, reaction from the victim's attorney.
I talked to Mr. Kinsey this morning. He's willing to do whatever is necessary to secure a conviction in this case. He doesn't believe that Officer Aledda should be a police officer.
After a conviction is overturned. Tonight, both sides in this controversial case are speaking out. CBS 4's Peter Deitch followed the story when it happened back in 2016. He joins us with this new development from the courts. Peter.
Well, Elliot, this is where the shots were fired.
And it's imperative that you understand the specific information of this case. With him saying that part when asked why did he shoot him, when Kinsey asked why did Aledda shoot him, and Aledda clearly said, I don't know. But then in the case, he stated that, he thought it was a gun, and he was trying to, he was aiming toward the mental patient who was holding the toy. So, those are two different things. That's something that very could have been stated in that moment when Kinsey asked why he was shot. If an officer is doing something like that or making a move, a decision like that, he should have the clarity of mind to even relay that. Even if he did make a mistake and say, hey, that wasn't my intention, but that's not how he handled that. So that's a key fact to know.
In July of 2016, former officer Johnathan Aledda testified he fired his weapon because he believed that Charles Kinsey was being threatened with a gun. Former Officer Aledda, was convicted of culpable negligence, but that was overturned. Cell phone video shows a memorable image with mental health therapist Charles Kinsey lying on the ground with his hands in the air. He had just caught up with autistic patient Arnaldo Rios Soto, who had run away from a group home. Officer Johnathan Aledda testified he fired 3 shots after a witness claimed Kinsey was being threatened with a gun. It turns out it was a toy truck. Kinsey was struck in the leg.
Officer Aledda showed up on scene, believed that there was a hostage situation, believed that there was a firearm, and he fired shots to protect someone.
Officer Aledda was acquitted of 2 counts of attempted manslaughter.
Hey, does this fall under because I know they like it's in the media, it's POC, people of color, versus the white man. So it's everybody in the spectrum. Black, Hispanic, Arab, or whatever. Anybody who's not white. So where does this fall under? It's the same under Zimmerman too. Do we still have that same narrative, or do we cut it off at this point? It's all bullshit, but like I'm saying, what are the parameters? What's the teams?
but convicted of culpable negligence. The 3rd District Court of Appeals ruled a circuit judge erred by refusing to allow the SWAT team commander to testify about the training that Aledda received relating to hostage rescues.
Essentially what the appellate court said is that Officer Aledda should have been allowed to show testimony illustrating that he did that day what he was trained to do.
Aledda's attorney, Eric Schwartzreich, adds,
there were 13 officers on scene. Officer Aledda was the only SWAT officer, and he did what he was trained to do.
Kinsey's attorney, Hilton Napoleon, disagrees.
This incident was not related to a SWAT operation. I'm not sure what his SWAT training specifically has to do with how he reacted. Most of the time, you're not able to point to an officer's training to show.
Bringing a SWAT for an operation like this is wasting taxpayer money. This is where your money's going to. They're using it for a situation like this and incompetence like this, right? A guy holding a toy truck. Remember, they knew he was holding a toy truck also. So why didn't that information get clearly, especially in something so serious, why didn't it get relayed back to the SWAT officer, Aledda? Why didn't it get relayed back to him? And all these big businesses, everything you do, when the stakes are high, they always speak about how communication is key and teamwork and all of that stuff. So why wasn't it relayed back? These people are in the wrong, man.
So that they did something wrong and opposed to what they were trained to do.
Napoleon says Kinsey would like to see a new trial.
I talked to Mr. Kinsey this morning. He's willing to do whatever is necessary to secure a conviction in this case. He doesn't believe that Officer Aledda should be a police officer. He doesn't think that he should be able to get his police credentials back.
Officer Aledda was fired and sentenced to a year of probation and was ordered to write a 2,500-word essay on policing. Now,
and like I said, he only did 5 months of that, so he got 5 months of probation. The cats get less probation for doing far less, getting caught with some weed. You get about a year. You know what I'm saying? He only ended up doing 5 months of probation, and so he did probation and had to do a homework assignment.
Aledda's attorney told us that Aledda looks forward to getting his job back. He also said Aledda could not comment on camera right now because of the possibility that there will be a new trial coming up at 6. In just 1 hour, we will hear from the attorney for the autistic patient. We are live in North Miami. Peter Danch, CBS 4 News.
Keep this motherfucker off the streets. He need to do some damn jail time, man. It don't even seem like he's remorseful, but get this motherfucker off the streets.